Okay, right, okay. Welcome everyone. Just some, so welcome councillors, officers and members of the public to the meeting. Have we got any? No, okay. Remind, please switch your mobile to silent or turn them off. There may be members of the public and press attending the meeting virtually. Please ask those attending virtually. Blah, blah, mobile. Is that someone joining us?
That's me.
Oh, okay, okay. Nobody can hear us.
Yes, I can. Sorry, I'm late.
That's right. No, I'm just starting. The meeting has been recorded and available in due course on the council's YouTube channel. Just a reminder to councillors to show that those attending virtually hear the proceedings. Can you please speak clearly, check your voice, and remember it's a formal meeting, so don't refer to each other by first names. And confirm there's no fire alarms, so if fire alarm does go off, follow John Trigg, who'll be running at the office at the room, and it's the end of the car park, isn't it?
Yeah, top up.
Walk there, not run, walk.
We won't be running, I can assure you.
No, no. Thank you. Right. Moving on. So item 1, apologies for absence.
Received apologies from Councillor Orange.
Thank you. To approve it as a correct record, the minutes of the meeting held on the 13th of January 2026, pages 7 to 14. Proposer, Councillor Rusty, seconder. Please, Councillor, thank you very much. All in favour? Indeed. I've been brought forward. The chair should reconsider this meeting as a matter of urgency. I think it's urgency, but to let you know, really, if you recall, touch on later on, with Devon Audit Partnership took a self-assessment with us a while ago, and one of the actions was that we would look at training requirements, training metrics, and a questionnaire was sent out by our independent co-opted member who's online. What I'm proposing is before the next meeting, officers and our independent member and the chair meet, discuss how we take that forward. If that's all right, everyone. Thank you. Item 4, declaration of interest. Thank you. 5, to agree that agenda part A and B. There's a part B, so I think the vote for second. Vote on how it goes. Action. All in favour. Thank you. Good. On to part B, A and community risk register. The emergency planning. So over to Alex Mills. Or is it Miles? Miles. Miles. Thank you. It's lovely to see you again. Your yearly visit, isn't it?
You've run so quickly.
It does. So if you remember those new members in our risk register, this falls. It's linked into our risk register.
Option of which screen to share. We literally tested this just before the meeting started. There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Sprigg.
So today's presentation is the Devon, Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Community Risk Register. The Community Risk Register is a multi-agency assessment of the main risks that face our communities. It is used by local authorities, emergency responder organisations to understand the shared risks and what we need to plan and prepare for. So the Local Resilience Forum is a multi-agency forum made up of Category 1 and Category 2 responders. And the Category 1 responders include local authorities, blue light services, Environment Agency, and then they're supported by Category 2 responders, which are utility providers, Met Office, for instance. We have a range of duties as a Category 1 responder, and these all come under the Civil Contingencies Act. And one of them is to assess risk, which you can see there, which is why we have a community risk register. So before I cover the top risks that are on the community risk register, I want to explain how the risk register fits in with the other risk registers that you'll be aware of. So the National Risk Register is the external version of the National Security Risk Assessment, which is the government's assessment of the most serious risks facing the UK. The National Risk Register provides the strategic foundation of the Community Risk Register, and it offers that consistent national view of the most serious risks to the UK, and it informs planning and capability building. However, it's not a prediction of what risks are most likely to occur. So we're not saying that anything on this risk register is imminent. It is just the most likely risk. However, the focus is very much on preparedness and resilience and capability building to ensure that we can respond to these risks. The Community Risk Register is created and managed by the Devon, Cornwall and Isles of Scilly Local Resilience Forum, which is made up of those Category 1 and Category 2 responders from the previous slide. And it considers the national risks, but within the local context. And then we have the Corporate Risk Register, which you'll be well aware of, which Adam Tape leads on. And then where necessary, the Corgi Group considers the risks on the Community Risk Register to determine if there's any impacts on organisational risks. So the UK faces a broad and diverse range of different risks. Risks can be non-malicious, such as accidents and natural hazards, but they can also be malicious from actors who seek to do harm to the UK. For a risk to meet the threshold for inclusion on the National Risk Register, it needs to have a substantial impact on the UK's safety, security and all critical systems at a national level. The National Risk Register includes 89 risks, and these are the themes that these risks go into, although several risks could be spanned across multiple themes. So to create the Community Risk Register, the Local Resilience Forum Risk Assessment Working Group, which is a group of emergency planners like myself from different organisations, come together to undertake risk assessments of the likelihood of an emergency occurring and the potential impact should it do so, and determine if the risk in the Local Resilience Forum area is greater or lesser than the national risk score, which was on the National Risk Register. These risks are then allocated a risk score, and then they're added to the publicly facing Community Risk Register, which is held on the Local Resilience Forum website. And you can all go look at it later if you're very interested. The register is then used as a basis for determining what we plan for and a work structure. The DCOS Community Register consists of 11 very high risks, 8 high risks, 21 medium and then 8 low. But today I'm just going to share those top risks that are on the risk register. But like I said, if you're interested, you can view the rest of the register on the website. So this slide shows a snapshot of the highest rated risks in Devon, Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. These are the risks that are assessed as having both a high likelihood and high impact, and therefore drive much of our work. For each risk, it shows the risk title and the common consequence. And then you have the likelihood score and the impact score, which leads to the overall risk rating. So as you can see, pandemic is one of the highest risks facing our communities. This risk reflects the potential for widespread illnesses, pressure on our health and social care system, staff shortages across critical services. Another particularly high risk to note is the failure of the National Electricity Transmission System or national power outage. We would see a loss of power affecting communication methods, transport, heating, essential services, and even the ability of our communities to be able to contact the emergency services. So I just want to stress yet again that just because these are included on the register doesn't mean these events will happen. It just allows us to use this as a planning tool to determine what we need to prioritise and plan for. This is the other very high risks. You'll see there's different types of flooding, but they all have common consequences, which helps with our capability planning because we can respond in a similar way. So as you can imagine, there no risk assessment will ever be able to identify and assess every possible risk. The Community Risk Register uses the common consequences of risks. So you have those disruption on critical services, mass fatalities, etc. But that ensures that our partners can then develop more general capabilities to respond to these impacts, regardless of what causes them. As an LRF, we also have to develop plans to respond to these risks, and you can see sort of a snapshot on there of the range of plans that the Local Resilience Forum has. So hopefully this provides some assurance that the risks are being systematically assessed and that planning is in place across partner agencies to respond to them. And then in addition, we also have North Devon Council specific response and recovery plans, and have recently trained a number of managers and senior managers, both in response and recovery. So I've mentioned it quite a few times. This is a community risk register. It's publicly facing, it is to be shared with the community. So this slide shows what we're doing to better prepare our communities. This year, with the support of Sophie and our comms team, we created an emergency planning e-bulletin, which you can see on the far left. That goes out quarterly, and the reach is about 5,300 to 6,800, depending on the topic. We've also designed a proactive social media comms strategy, which focuses on different risks that you would have seen on the risk register at different times of year and shares partner campaigns and key messages on preparedness. And then we have our emergency planning webpage on the council website containing FAQs and other information. And then more recently, in the middle there, you can see there's a Local Resilience Forum project, which we led on, which is the creation of community emergency hubs and the resources for communities to run these. So hopefully you've seen some of these communication methods come out to you, and hopefully you've shared some of these with your community. Thank you. Is there any questions?
Right. Yeah. Good to the link, guys. Through you, thank you. With the last weeks, things are developing. Have you had sort of people interest contacting you about sort of fossil fuel shortages? Sort of, and I know this is community, but I was wondering if you had many calls from businesses or.
So I haven't received any inquiries into emergency planning,
No.
But as a Local Resilience Forum, we do prepare for the risk of fuel shortage, and then there's also a national framework for fuel shortage as well.
And you've been doing some work with parishes, I believe. Is it you asking for sort of the details of their local plans? Is that correct?
Yes, so following the storms back in early 2025, one of the key recommendations from the debrief was to develop a out of hours contact list with towns and parishes and to identify their sort of capability. So we went out with a survey following doing an evening here where we spoke about community emergency plans, and we've collated that information now. So if we have another emergency where we need to contact them and emails are not the best form of communication, we have those phone numbers.
A lot happening. Sorry.
Can those slides be sent to us?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And like I said, the actual risk register is on the Local Resilience Forum website, which we can share a link to as well.
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, I think you held an event. Is it Tiverton a few months ago? I can't remember. That you're all joined.
So
The regional.
probably held by the Devon Communities Together. So Devon Communities Together do a lot of the engagement with the public around community emergency planning, and they are funded by Devon County Council. And they are working really closely with us and the Local Resilience Forum on the Community Emergency Hubs project. So they're doing a lot of the face-to-face engagement, and they're also providing up to 100 boxes with some equipment, printed guide and roll cards.
Yeah.
For any community that did want a community emergency hub.
Yeah.
And we can share the webpage for that as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Well, thank you once again. We'll see you again next year. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 7, presentation for dual-hatted town and parish councillors with community governance review.
I certainly don't make any change.
For a minute, right, again, isn't it?
Well, this is probably the most not a lot of the talk I expect, but yeah, well, hope anyway. So the councillors will recall that dispensation was given to councillors on this committee back in November to be able, just because so many district councillors are also parish and town councillors, and that the impact of the community governance review impacts on those towns and parish councils, and therefore so the the next agenda item you've got, you'll be obviously deciding the final recommendations for the community governance review, and the idea then is that will be, you'll see in that report the recommendation is that's then taken to full council. So the issue then is that there are councillors at that, so full council won't really change what governance committee will hope, well they could do, but in principle, but ultimately what you're taking to full council is an order for them to approve based on your recommendations. But regardless of that, you'll have dual hatted councillors that would otherwise need to declare an interest and leave the room. And in line with what the dispensation that's been granted for this committee, it seems a pragmatic solution really to similarly grant the dual hatted, God, can't say that word, councillors on full council the same dispensation to allow them to approve that. So that's the so the councillors are those named in the recommendation in the report, and it's solely to allow them to take that decision at full council.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Any questions? No.
Only from me, obviously, and Helen's going to look across. Did we have to include as Flemington in this one? Was the boundary change on Flemington? Sorry.
Sorry. So
it goes on the parish,
yeah.
Flemington parish, and obviously there is a section on Flemington.
Oh, I see.
And the boundaries.
So you've already got a dispensation that was granted at a previous governance committee because you're on governance committee. But no, that's
It's right now.
Yeah,
That's
so
mostly-
I looked across to Helen and thinking,
Yeah.
back me up here, but
No.
you know, you've answered, yeah.
No,
I just thought I'd mention
no,
it.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Tom.
yeah, that's fine.
Well, let's remove it, please. Councillor Rutty and secondly.
You could give one to councillor Quinn.
Bring one place at a time. All in favour? Everyone.
Pay attention a bit more, Simon.
Right, moving on to item 8. This is the community governance review. Final recommendation, I like the sound of that one. Pages 19 to 98. Report from our senior electoral services officer.
Just a quick introduction, Chair.
Thank you.
And this follows on nicely from your previous item. So at your meeting on the 11th of November, you agreed to draft recommendations for the Community Governance Review. Between the 18th of November and 30th of January, we've been back out for public consultation on those draft recommendations. Those consultations results are shown for you in Appendix C. You now need to approve the final recommendations, and those have been set out for you for consideration in Appendix A. I will now hand over to Debbie and Rob from our electoral team to take you through those in more detail.
And are we going to vote on them at end of each stage? Is
I
that
think
what?
that would be sensible, Chair.
So,
Yeah.
because I don't, there's any, on this one's no overlapping. So to make it easier, if that's okay, we'll discuss one proposal and vote on it. Thank you.
Starting off with their proposal ND1, and if you would like to refer to any of the maps, but there be an Appendix B, and this proposal will refer to map ND1A. This recommendation was taken forward to a second consultation as approved by the last community governance review, or committee, should I say. No changes have been made for the final recommendation. The proposal for both Flemington and Toolstock Parish Council was to go tidy up the boundary line, because at the moment it going through the industrial estate in Roundswell. So it's to follow the main road as the A3125. So the recommendation is to adopt this proposal to move it in and follow that natural line of the road. Another proposal from Framington Parish Council under this proposal was to extend the boundary to incorporate a Birch Lane to Old Biddyford Road. And this would move approximately 66 properties from Torstock Parish Council into Framington Parish Council. And then the other one under this proposal from Framington Parish Council was to for the boundary of Chestwood Avenue and Beechwood Close to follow that main road. But our proposal is not to change any of the boundaries up here and just literally tidy up around the property. So no properties will be moving from one parish to the other. So our proposal is to, or our final recommendation is to adopt all these proposals.
So any questions on that first of all? I think both Framington and Torstock are in agreement with this as the parishes. And I do know that Torstock delivered a leaflet to all the 66 houses that are being proposed to move. So is had delivered to there. And I believe that you re-emailed all the original responders, is that right? Or communicated?
From the first consultation.
Yeah. So what wording do we need to agree on this?
Should we need a vote, Chair? with that
All in favour for those three? Is it? Do we say those three?
Just on the proposal.
ND1.
For ND1.
I've got two recommendations
Yeah.
in front of you, Chair, but you're taking recommendation one. Obviously, you're taking each proposal in,
Yeah.
so ND1 first.
Right, Jordan, ND1.
Before we
Yes.
move on, I just want to say,
That's all good.
thank you very much for this. This is, it really will neaten the area up because there is that silly little bit that was sort of built, I suspect, after the boundaries were originally set. And I think this is, well, the whole thing is actually a really good idea to make the boundaries a bit neater and a bit more obvious. So I thank your team for all the work you've done on all of these.
So proposer? Councillor Howard Booth, seconder. And all in favour? Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Next.
Okay, moving on to proposal ND2. This is from Barnstable Town Council. And this proposal was to move Sheerford Close and Train Heights into Barnstable from Pilton West. This went out as a second consultation with 3 options. And the options were for option 1 to leave both areas in Pilton West. Option 2 to move Sheerford Close from Pilton West to Barnstable and leave Train Heights within Pilton West. And option 3 was to move both areas into Barnstable. 48 responses were received and 39 from the residents of Pilton West. Out of the 48 total respondents, over half of whom resided in Train Heights or Sheerford Close were all in favour of option 1. Barnstable Town Council did conduct their own survey and 46 responses received with a majority in favour of 3. While the Barnstable Town Council survey only captured feedback from 3 residents within Pilton West boundary, it is noted that their support was for option 1 was unanimous. It is recommended to retain both areas within Pilton West to align with local preference and community cohesion.
The message there for the residents. So, any questions? So we're proposing to for ND2 to those option.
Yeah.
Councillor Walker seconded. Howard Booth, all in favour? Thank you.
ND3 proposal. This was from Barnstable Town Council, and this will refer to Appendix B in the map ND3A. This recommendation was taken forward for a second consultation as approved by the Community Governance Committee. No changes have been made to the final recommendation. And this was for, their proposal was to move the boundary of the remaining land east of the A361 to coincide with the North Saxon boundary of the Mount Sandford development. Currently, there's no development on theirs at the moment, so no electors affected. No objection was from Langley Parish Council and no constructive reason for keeping this piece of land within Langley Parish. So our final recommendation is to adopt this proposal.
Thank you.
I move that we accept the recommendation.
And councillor Rotty, all in favour? Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, proposal ND4 from Tourstock Parish Council. Again, this was taken forward for a second consultation as approved by Community Governance Committee. No changes have been made to this final recommendation. And the proposal from Tourstock Parish Council was to go from 3 to 2 wards, merging Tourstock Northern and Tourstock Southern, and to be renamed as Tourstock Urban. There is no effect on the number of councillors, as they will merge and remain at 9. Tourstock Rural is retained with 2 councillors. There was no strong opinion on, and so the recommendation is to again to adopt this proposal.
Any questions? No? Proposal, please. Councillor Rossi, seconded. All in favour? Thank you.
Okay, proposal ND5, and again, we'd like to refer to Appendix B in the maps ND5A and 5B. Again, this recommendation was approved on the last governance committee and no changes have been made to this a recommendation. Ilfracombe Town Council would like to return to 3 wards, Ilfracombe East, Ilfracombe West and recreating Ilfracombe Central. Ilfracombe Central is to be created from existing polling districts CO, CP and CQ, leaving CR as the sole polling district for Ilfracombe East. So there'll be no change to the existing polling stations. The number of councillors then, currently Ilfracombe East has 11 councillors and Ilfracombe West 7 councillors. The proposed changes for the new wards will be Ilfracombe Central at 7 councillors, Ilfracombe East at 4 councillors and Ilfracombe West will remain at 7 councillors. No strong objection to the recommendation is to adopt this proposal from Ilfracombe Town Council.
Okay, proposal of councillor Quinn, seconded by Howard Booth. All in favour? Thank you.
Proposal ND6, going from Framington Parish Council. Again, this went forward as second consultation and no changes were made have been made to this recommendation. The Framington Parish Council proposal was to rename their wards, but not to change the total number of councils for the parish, maintaining 15 parish councillors. Their current ward arrangements are Framington Yelland with 6 councillors, Framington Anklewood with 1 councillor, Framington Bickington with 6 councillors, Framington Maple with 1, and Framington, Ramswell and Woodville at 1. Our proposed ward changes and number of councillors are for Framington and Yelland and Framington Bickington ward, unchanged at 6 councillors each. Framington Anklewood to be renamed Framington Woodville with 2 councillors. Framington Ramswell and Woodville to be renamed Framington Ramswell and incorporate the Framington Maple and with 1 councillor. There was a strong opinion on this. The recommendation is to adopt the proposal to change the ward names, reducing the number of wards from 5 to 4, but retaining the number of parish councillors.
Thank you. Any questions?
No, I just wanted to propose it.
Councillor Walker. Yeah. And seconded by councillor Rossi. All in favour?
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Woodville back.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, that's what.
Okay. Proposal ND7, and again, this refers to Appendix B, ND7A to 7D. From Barnstaple Town Council, one of the proposals will look at their warding arrangements and council ratios. They consider the number of councils relative to the residents' population to be significantly higher than towns of a similar population. Their current parish arrangements are Barnstaple Town Council with 24 parish councillors, Barnstaple made up of Barnstaple Town Central ward with 2, Barnstaple Fortress ward at 4, Barnstaple Fort Hill ward at 4, Barnstaple Longbridge ward 1, Barnstable Newport Ward 5, Barnstable Pilton and Yeo Valley 7 councillors, and Barnstable Victoria Ward at 1. Our recommendation for approval are for Barnstable Town Central, sorry. No change to the boundary or ward name, but increase to 3 councillors from 2. Barnstable Forches and Westercott, which includes the current Barnstable Forches ward and Barnstable Fort Hill wards, part 2 and 4, with 6 councillors. Barnstable Longbridge to be no change. Currently, they have 1 town councillor. Our initial recommendation and improved to go to the second round of consultation was to increase to 2 councillors. However, on reflection, the ratio per councillor would be too high, so it seemed to be appropriate to keep it for 1 councillor for now, with a view to increase the number of councillors once the development of the Severn Brethren has taken place, maintaining 24 councillors if we keep to 1 for Barnstable Longbridge. Barnstable Newport includes the current Newport ward, plus the Barnstable Victoria ward, and the piece of land proposed to move to Barnstable under the proposal ND3, with 5 councillors. Barnstable Pilton, 1/2 of the current Pilton and Yeo Valley ward, west of Pilton Causeway and North Road, with 4 councillors. And Barnstable Yeo Valley, 1/2 of the current Barnstable Yeo Valley ward, east of Pilton Causeway and North Road, to include the current Barnstable Fort Hill ward, part 1 and 3, but splitting Barnstable Fort Hill part 1 down by Bear Street and the south area would go into Barnstable Forches and Westercott, and that's 5 councillors. After the working party met to view these final recommendations, a response was received from Barnstable Town Council. Although this was after the consultation ended, in the view of the low response to the consultation and the request just concerned the number of councillors in 1 ward, the request is acceptable. Therefore, the number of seats for Barnstable, Forches and Westercott is adjusted slightly as per the request. The Barnstable, Forches and Westercott, 5 councillors from our recommendation of 6. However, with the amended number of councillors reduced in Longwood Ward and the reduction to the number of councillors for Forches and Westercott, as per the request from Barnstable Town Council, the number of councillors now be reduced from 24 to 23.
Thank you. Any comments? Councillor Walker.
Sorry, I checked. What are we voting on the officer's recommendations? Oh, okay, and ignoring what the town council has said, essentially.
No, the town council's recommendation.
Incorporated.
Oh, because that's the confusing thing, because I thought they wanted to have 1 less councillor.
Yes, they do, and that's what we're voting on.
Oh, and that is the.
That's what they would say.
It went up, I think, with Longbridge, if I recall, and that's come down.
Yeah, we increased it initially by being Longbridge. When we looked at all and did all the ratios, our proposal went from 25 from 24. However, since then Barnstable came in with the that recommendation to lower Forches, which mean now that they would go under that recommendation of the 24 to 23.
Cool. It's Barnstable Town Council supporting this, and so are the North Devon Council officers.
Well, our second consultation for Barnstable Longbridge did go out with 2.
Yeah.
So that's what it went out with, and then that's when we had our late submission for Barnstable Town Council to reduce Forches and Westercott.
To 5 from
Yes,
6.
6 to 5. So
But wouldn't that raise the number of people per councillor above that of the other awards? Because when it says 6, I said there's 736 elected per councillor, and then obviously for a similar ward like Yeo Valley, 5 is 777 per councillor. So obviously might not be extremely fair.
it would go up to 884.
That's quite a lot to go up by, though, isn't it? If compared to its neighbours, especially because Barnstable Central only would have 140 people less per councillor. Odd.
Yeah, when our initial, we did the calculation and the ward changes, that's what the basis that we did it at, but because Barnstaple, we were looking, that would increase Barnstaple Town Council to one councillor. So when they came in with their recommendation, it would go down then to 23. So they would be losing one councillor.
So, I mean, I would think that in the interest of fairness and, representation, that we stick to 6 in Forches and Westercott, because then as well, when the development is done in Seven Brethren, and they get their extra people, the numbers might just look a bit more tidy. Because I'm just looking at it from a numbers point of view, and it just doesn't really seem to make sense taking a councillor away, and messing up the nice little spread of representation they've got in those wards.
And clarify how often people see a community governance review. Normally, is that every 4 or 5 years or longer?
Longer. Their recommendation is
15
I think,
for a full one.
for a full one, but they can be done at any time. There's no given something to look at, especially with the developments that are happening. And that, our initial was for Longbridge to go from 2 and then down to 1 on that basis that it hasn't yet been developed until the population starts to increase, and then it may be to look at. So,
I mean, in my view, we'll take on board your comments, but community governance review also includes towns and parishes views, and the town are suggesting to reduce to 23. Right.
the town council.
Yes.
No, the town council haven't. No, the town council haven't reduced it to 23.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just really wanted to reduce 40s.
They wanted to reduce the Forches. Yeah,
Forches,
Forches
right,
one
okay,
of
so
that one, but
Forches.
not necessarily their overall
Number,
the number of the town council.
Right.
So we reduce it to but maintain it at 24, because when we went out to initial consultation, we had increased the number of councillors. So I think they would be happy with 24.
Yeah.
But we had that late submission of, so if we reduce Forches down, then that would mean that they would go from 24 to 23.
And you can.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a query again with the Longbridge. Obviously that, as it stands at the minute, is allocated 1 councillor. That development that is going in there is imminent. So we should see it sort of being started pretty soon. And did I get it right that this only comes to sort of boundary change every 4 to 5 years?
So is that a lot longer, I think.
Yeah, obviously this council won't be sitting in, because of reorganisation. Where is it going to leave Longbridge if that 1 add-on councillor is not put in there now, when we know that there's a development about to start? And how long before it gets brought back to the table, and by which authority is going to give the town council another councillor to cover Longbridge? Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
But why take it away now when there's going to be 180 properties in there, and we know that?
There's only 1 currently.
I know, but how long is it going to take to get that second one back in?
Yeah. Okay.
The answer? No?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously just for clarity, that development is obviously phased, so it's going to take a while for that
Another years, I
development to be built out. So it's not all being done in one phase.
Right.
Being phased in, I think there's 4 phases. So it's gradual in terms of when that development will come on board. Eventually it will be the 180 units that will come on.
Yeah.
In terms of which council would then do a community governance review, obviously then a new unitary authority will be formed under the government organisation. So North Devon District Council won't obviously exist, but the new unitary council will. So then any community governance review will be picked up by that new unitary authority. That will pick up community governance reviews around its new existence, whatever that looks like when we know.
So it wouldn't be, it
Still
would
be-
be a long process
still
then
be-
before they get that extra councillor back.
Not necessarily, because as the officers have pointed out, a community governance review can take place at any time, so it doesn't have to wait 15 years. Obviously, you would hope if there's changes to be made, then that would come forwards. But that would be for, if it's not within the next 2 years, that would be for the new unitary authority to then consider, just like it would with any community governance review with its new existence and its new patch.
And councils can co-opt members to a committee, I believe, parish council. If they wanted to,
Just,
not a particular area, but they can co-opt people onto their,
They can.
can do, you know. Council.
But you'd still be within your control
Yes.
because of the numbers that you have. So only if you've got vacancies, you would obviously then potentially co-opt. But normally you'd have an election, and obviously that you'd still be within the numbers that are recommended that you're approving.
That's what I think.
Is it going to be a pain if I ask if we can delay the moving of the seat from Porches and Westcott to Longbridge, but accept the rest of the recommendations? And if we move that on till whenever the development's finished, then we can look at it again in terms of the seat allocation for the wards, but then we just accept the boundary changes as they are.
But challenge it. I mean, the houses won't be built for years.
Well, we could just say, you know, chuck it down the line.
Yeah, I think we make a decision one way or another, but
Yeah, I mean, the houses obviously are starting to be built. We know the flood defences are being done at the moment. The houses will be starting to be built out, but it's in phases over quite a period of time. So it's not going to be, you're going to have 180 houses in the next 12, 18 months. It's going to take quite a while for that to be built out.
In that case, can I make a different proposal that we keep the seat allocations as they currently are, but then just accept the boundary changes? So obviously in this bottom bit where it says Barnsley Newport 5 and then 3, 4,
which
5,
page
6.
which page you on?
I'm on 32. If we just accept that and the seat allocations and then accept the boundary change recommendations from the officers.
Can I just add something to that? I think what Councillor Rudd is trying to say, tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth, is what you want, that basically we don't accept the submission by Barnsley Town Council
Yeah,
effectively.
yeah, that's basically what I'm saying.
The later one, so we go with our the recommendations
Yeah.
there are.
Original.
So original keep to 24 councillors,
Yeah.
Porches has 6, Longbridge has 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Very clear, Councillor Walker, thank you. So, alternative proposal then. Okay, what we're voting on?
Has it been seconded?
Well, if Councillor Rudd proposed, I'm happy to second.
To clarify? Yes.
So you're taking an amendment rather than a
Yes,
recommendation. So
yeah,
if you obviously have an amendment come forward, so you need to take the amendment first.
yeah,
And take the vote on that. Taken, then obviously that becomes the substantive vote.
okay. So the amendment is to progress without the town council's submission. There's the officer's submission.
But seconded.
Councillor Walker. Claire?
we're clear that the amendment then is to keep the original amount of 10 councillors.
Yeah.
24
yeah.
councillors, I mean,
Probably what I was going to say in a roundabout way, wasn't it?
oh, so, all those in favour?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, well,
Abstain?
4. Any again?
Okay. Yeah. So that's carried.
Okay.
Okay,
Comes
thank
in
you.
substantive motion.
Can we now need to vote on the substantive?
Vote on the substantive motion, which
Right.
is that one.
That's on, yeah, okay. So proposer. Councillor Racing, seconder, Councillor Walker. All in favour? Good. So. You know, and this goes to full council.
Got second recommendation. So you've taken recommendation
One,
one, which
that's right.
is all of the individual proposals.
The second one was,
So your second recommendation, final recommendations, form a reorganisation order to take effect
Yeah.
on the 1st of April 2027. So you need to take a vote on that one.
so that was, yes, so it's 0.2.2, isn't it? The final recommendation for a reorganisation order to take effect on 1st of April 2027, subject to full council approval. Proposer, Councillor Haywood Booth, seconder, Councillor Walker, all in favour? So, thank you to the officers, and thank you for guiding us through that. Yeah, it's quite nice. It's quite nice. We got something fit for council after this process.
Yeah, also referencing that Rob is retiring.
Oh, really?
Well, so obviously he's
I think you hinted. Well, there's hint made last time.
wanted
but-
to
Okay,
see anything.
didn't you? Right, okay. And how many years, Robert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of elections, referendums,
Yeah.
even done a mayor election in London. So,
All right, I did one of those. Yeah. Lovely.
yeah.
On the other side from you, probably, but okay, lovely. Thank you much indeed. Thank you.
Thanks, Evan. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. So moving on to 9, okay. I make this short, it's one of it. Annual effectiveness reports from the chair of the committee. Okay. So just a little bit of background, for those of you who may not have read it. Going back to the Devon Partnership self-assessment. I think it mentioned that we should produce an annual effectiveness report. And I think I was the one that mentioned that what we did wasn't very effective. It was a very simple report. Also, I think sort of recall that policy and scrutiny, or well, it was just policy, but suggested that we should have reports annually from this committee, from SNR, and also from policy scrutiny. So this is where we are. The idea is that this draft report will get top and tails because there's certain things taken on board today. And if agreed in principle, this will go forward to full council. So there's been so much positive stuff been happening in governance over the last 12 months. I've just sort of selected a number of areas really. So I talked to it already, but I think sort of one of the areas really just attendance in the and this cycle has certainly improved from the previous cycle. It might go down slightly in 25-26 because we're missing one member here, but got positive there. I think having that service assessment that is with Devon Assurance Partnership helped us focus, I think, on some areas for improvement. I think we've got 3 substantive and 1 reasonable, and overall substantive for that. We came up with 2 recommendations. I think really that's looking at really. One was producing this report, and the second was very much about producing, looking at skills matrix, skill requirements for members, which I mentioned earlier. We'll take forward after this meeting. I think another area that we've really improved on as a committee and the officers. I'm not saying we should take all the credit. Officers do most of the work. But I think sort of is the new risk register that we've introduced, the corporate risks in table 3. Another area which I think the officers completed is I felt we didn't have a sort of a self-assessment of our risk management. So we adapted or used the Devon Audit Partnership, and that was on page 107. Again, we've got very positive there. There's 2 areas for us to monitor in bold on the right-hand columns. On page 108, it summarizes the 24-25 internal audit results. Again, very positive. Luckily, thankfully, no assurance. And what was really, I think if you go to bottom of page 110, number 7, was outstanding audit recommendation. It's such a shame that Seth Norton Council's not here, who's been pushing for us to sort of stop extending outstanding audits. But in this table, we're down to, I think, in January, down to 20 actions outstanding. Going back a number of years, it was 170. So it's really positive, and I think even we update it with today's, we're only on 23. So credit to the officers feeding back that our comment to reduce that. So that's the report. If you've got any comments, thank you for officers giving me some information. Thank you for Councillor Haverfield for proofreading the previous version. So, are there any errors in this? It was after you looked at it. So, probably are. So, if you've got any comments, really going forward, please get over now. Otherwise, we've gone away and top-tailing it to go to full council in April. Anything else you think we should have included, or even the officers really? You didn't have much to say in this. You saw Adam saw. Well, I'm really sorry. You had the observations, but anything else you think we should include in there?
I think it's very comprehensive.
Well, I wasn't looking for compliments. But that's, I mean, I'm expecting some of this information will feed into your report that you present to us in June, which is the annual governance statements. So, and hopefully this will demonstrate to our auditors when we revisit the sub-assessment that we are listening, we are taking forward. And I think we should celebrate really what, you know, not by offering about everyone drinks, but celebrate what North Devon Council achieved in relation to governance. It's not just this committee. Been very positive. There's always room for improvement, as we always know. But so, anything else? No, I don't. Just to note it at the moment. Thank you. Moving on to item 10, I think. Yeah. So, report from Mr. Fuller on an update on fraud investigations. This won't take you very long.
Thank you, yeah, well, thankfully not. Yeah, so so this is the 6 monthly update on any incidents of fraudulent activity, and I'm pleased to report that I have had no incidents reported to me. So that's what I'm reporting here. So
thank you.
Straightforward, yeah.
Right, so just to know, any comments, anyone? No? No? Again, that's reassuring. And I'm sure our internal auditor will be scanning the horizons, looking for any frauds that are occurring. Moving on to item 11, review of committee terms and reference. Mr. Fuller again, officer.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the annual review of the terms of reference. So over the last 2 years, we've changed the terms of reference quite a bit, really. You know, 2 years ago we updated the standards function to put more in there, and last year we updated it to take account of more recommendations around its audit function. So it has been updated quite substantially over the last 2 years. But this year, I don't think there's any changes that are required. So the recommendation is that no changes are needed.
Okay. So 3.1, the term of reference are considered to be sufficient and do not over our attention at time. So, proposer, please. Councillor Quinn, seconder.
Sorry, Chair, that was the reasons for recommendation. So your recommendation is 2.1, Chair, just to be clear. The Governance Committee make note.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes, there were no changes. Sorry, yes, sorry. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, sorry. Councillor Quinn, seconded by Councillor Rutty. All in favour? Thank you. Item 12, accounting policy changes. Is that obviously?
Chair, members. So item 12, annually we bring you an update as there's any changes to our accounting policies. So the accounting policies sit within the statement of accounts that your committee will receive in due course once we finish the financial year and produce those for you. in advance of that, we update you if there's any changes to the policies in terms of how we prepare those accounts. There are some changes this year, and it's all in relation to how we value our assets. The 25-26 statements require the introduction of something called indexation. So when we value our assets, previously there was a requirement to revalue them to make sure that their carrying amount didn't materially differ from their year-end value. And previously they were revalued over a 5-year programme. Now there's a requirement that assets are in the balance sheet at their current values, revalued every 5 years, but are adjusted with an appropriate index each year. So a bit like inflation being added to a value, you're adding an index in order to uplift those values that you're holding those assets at. So the Appendix A in front of you, it starts on page 125. It's just been updated to reflect the addition of the indexation wording within the valuation of our property, plants and equipment and our heritage assets. So that sets out where we have made some changes. The changes are shown in red, so you'll see those starting on page 126, and that just sets out that programme of revaluing our assets every 5 years, and now being adjusted by the application of an appropriate index in the years that an asset is not subject to those valuations. So it's making sure that that asset is valued at an appropriate value each and every year, and is up to date. So previously, up until March 2025, they were revalued sufficiently regularly to make sure that the carrying amount didn't materially differ. But from April 25, the requirement is to revalue every 5 years with that indexation built in. So the indexes have been proposed. They've been worked on with our valuers and have been recommended for the revaluation purposes for this financial year. They've been agreed through myself, and also our working papers are being shared with the external auditors in advance of the statements being prepared and in advance of the audit being carried out, so that can be agreed up front with our external auditors. So, Chair, the changes are set out in red within the Appendix A. Mainly it's around the addition of the wording around those revaluation gains and indexation adjustments. And if members are happy, the recommendation is set out in 2.1. The Governance Committee approved the amendments for the 25-26 accounting policy changes as contained in Appendix A in relation to property, plant and equipment and heritage assets. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
I'm sure there's lots of questions. No, okay.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
It just seems like most of the changes make a lot of sense, so I think that's probably why there's not many questions.
No, I was. I think it'll be quite picked up again under the presentation from Bishop Fleming. You might pick up this bits of this.
The audit plan, obviously, we'll talk about then, obviously, the audit approach. But obviously, as part of that audit, there are obviously these changes that are embedded in the valuation. So that's why we're engaging with Charlie and the team early, so that we can agree that approach up front, and that pre-work is being carried out.
Thank you. So, all those of proposals, sorry, Councillor Lossie, seconded by Booth, all in favour? Yep, lovely, thank you. Moving on to 13, is that right? Update on governance arrangements, operating a rent provider of authorising. Mr. Tape, is that right? Thank you.
Yeah. We became a local authority registered provider in May 25, and our first provision of social housing is expected to come online at the end of April at 37 Bayport Street. The aim of this report is to update members regarding the governance arrangements that we're going to have in place. We've been working closely with North Devon Homes over the last few months regarding them providing housing management services for our properties. I'm pleased to say that we're just finalising that management agreement. We have also engaged ARC consultants to review that management agreement and the new housing policies that we need as part of an assurance review to make sure that we meet all of our regulatory requirements as a landlord. ARC aim to conclude their review providing a full report and action plan by the end of the month. We plan to take those housing policies and the outcomes from that review to the Strategy and Resources Committee on the 13th of April. Take any questions, please.
Yes, I think.
If North Devon Homes are managing the properties, what does that mean for the residents? Does that mean that they will be, you know, managed by it? Will it change? Sorry, will it be different as opposed to if we were to manage the properties directly?
I mean, effectively, they will be managed by North Devon Homes, similar to their other properties. We will obviously be there as a landlord in the background.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're starting off quite small, so it's a small number of units there. So over the next few months, obviously the property at Bowport Street are the first number of units that will come on board. So there are 10 units of housing there. Plus then eventually in about 12, 18 months, the additional units it will put in through the Healthy Homes project at the Royal Mail building and the property we bought on Oxford Grove. So eventually there'll be around 20 to 25 units. So because it's quite small, that's why we're looking for a managed provider to manage those for us. Obviously, eventually, if that grew to scale, then obviously we may at some point look to change that provision. But at the moment, North Devon Homes have got very good accreditation in terms of their governance. They've got the highest rating of governance from the regulator. So that's why we're going with an expert who knows how to run properties. So they will run it on behalf of us. Obviously, they're our properties, so we will still have control, and that's why we have a management agreement between us and North Devon Homes. So we have that control over those properties and making sure they're being managed appropriately. But North Devon Homes will run them as if they're running their own properties, and then we will receive the net rentals back from North Devon Homes for those properties.
Councillor Walker and then Councillor Fox.
Will this include will this management include our temporary accommodation as well, or just our homes that we held under registered provider status?
It'll just be our homes under the registered provider status and the social housing. So North Devon Homes will manage those. We will continue to manage our properties for temporary accommodation.
It
It was just to say that there's obviously great news that's coming on stream and making use of the resource that North Devon Homes have and we don't. It seems like a really sensible idea. You know, they subcontract mason plumbers, so if the toilet starts leaking, they can send someone out. We haven't necessarily got someone, so it seems that eminently sensible.
Later on, before you know that our internal auditor is spending X days looking at this particular piece of work.
So we obviously it's a change to what we're doing, so we wanted to make sure that was embedded in our internal audit programme for next year. So through Devon Assurance Partnership, we've made sure there are a number of days looking at those processes that are in place. The reason we wanted to get this piece of work brought forward is to make sure that we have this assurance on those management agreements and policies in advance then of going live in the first quarter of next year.
Yeah, this just for note. I think this one is
To note.
no. Yeah, that's a note. Yeah, thank you anyway. Okay, moving on to item 14, audit recommendation tracker.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. So members, this is your normal audit recommendation tracker. Take you to page 137. This just sets out the overall position for those high, medium and low risk recommendations. We normally will report to you on those high and medium risk recommendations. The low risk ones, we tend not to bring that detail to you. As you can see, there are no overdue high risk recommendations. We have one overdue medium risk recommendation outstanding, and that is set out in your papers on page 141 under Appendix C. And that relates to our updated health and safety policies shown on our insight pages. This has previously come to you with a date extension for 31st of January. We're just asking for a further short extension to the end of May. We have two policies that still need to go through our workforce matters, which is our meeting between employers and our unions, to make sure that they're happy with those policies. So we have one on body worn cameras and one on lone working. They need to go through our workforce matters meetings, which is coming up very shortly. Once they've been through those committees, then obviously they'll be signed off, hence why we're just asking for a short extension to the end of May, and then this recommendation can be closed off with the full Jeff.
Thank you.
So that just covers off the outstanding one recommendation. Moving to Appendix E, which sets out the annual governance statement recommendations. Members will see progress of 100% on all of those recommendations. There is just one on page 146, which is showing progress of 80%, but that recommendation date isn't due until June. and that's all in relation to our procurement processes. So the team are working hard to complete that one, and obviously we're 80% complete. So we're confident that we'll be able to close that one off by the time we get to June.
The next annual governance statement is being presented, is that right, in June?
It is, Chair, yeah.
Yeah. It's a minor thing, really. I think the team are under the page appendix C. And it mentions 0%. Oh, you were saying 0% progress. They've also done this minor comment.
Yeah.
They've also done some work on it. But
So yeah, Chair, so obviously, yeah, that should be showing a higher
That's-
progress.
yes, I mean, that's-
Yeah, we'll make sure that's
I
reflected.
got impressed, Mr. Rossi, didn't it? Sorry. Oh, sorry. So, any comments? Answer.
Councillor Bush an impression.
Yes.
10. No. Could you just refresh my memory? Is 10 sort of is that normally what we'd expect? I think it is, isn't it? Is that we got the 10 overdue low risk? That's pretty typical, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the sort of low risk ones are sometimes they're updates of policy or something, but reviewing policies, etc. So they're very low risk ones. But yeah, it's not. I think when you look at the numbers that were earlier in the chair's report, those numbers were significantly higher than some of those low risk recommendations in past years. So 10 isn't a high number.
And whether our independent member would normally stepping down saying the committee should be looking at the high and the medium.
Yeah.
But it's worth
Yeah,
mentioning. Worth mentioning. Yeah. Well then. So I'm speaking on our behalf. But yeah, thank you. Any other comments on that?
Just, it's not a comment, it's just a question really. On page 141, we've got obviously medium risk. And I just wondered why sort of lone working and working safely with children and vulnerable adults is under, it's got 0% and it's under medium risk.
Yes, a medium risk recommendation. There has been work done because obviously the policies have been updated, so it should be showing more than 0%.
Yeah.
Because we're only asking for a short extension just for those final two policies to be adopted. So in hindsight, that shouldn't be showing 0%. It should be showing probably 80 or 90% because all of the work has been done. The policies just need to be approved. So if you're happy, Chair, I'd like to just verbally report that one should be around the 90% mark because we just need to get those two policies signed off.
Yeah.
It was a typo. It shouldn't be showing 0%.
Okay, thank you. And the medium risk, is it medium risk, those two items on there?
It
So
is,
they
yeah,
find
the
a medium
risks-
risk?
The risks come through the audit process. So our auditors, when they carry out an internal audit, will put forward recommendations. Some of those will be classed as high risk, some will be classed as medium risks, and some as low risk. So this one was assessed as a medium risk. So we've accepted that, and obviously, yeah, carried out the work to get the policies done. But the risk rating itself comes from our audit partners.
We can change the 0%.
Tonight, probably 90.
Happy to verbally report that that's around 90%.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, that's
Very good question, Jeff.
thank you. Anything else? So can I have a proposal for recommendations 2.1, 2.2 and adding 90%?
Sorry, was there one that needed an extension?
It was under the list of outstanding action. I mean,
Yes, it should be in the recommendation, is it?
Appendix B is.
yes, okay. So there's probably four then. There's 2.1.
Yeah.
Written note the actions. 2.2, raise any concerns arising from list of outstanding actions.
And then appendix C,
Extension.
Chair, it's a date extension request on 25 corporate health and safety to the date request extension to the 31st of May 2026.
And to note
And
percent.
it's a date request extension as well, wasn't it?
No, not in appendix.
Oh, yeah, that was open. Yeah, sorry, so it's just that one.
Okay. Okay. Clear. Proposer, that's Pops. Seconder, that's Rossi. All in favour? You okay keeping going? Anyone need a comfort break yet? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
please, that would be-
Can I close a 5 minutes break? Proposer. I guess Rossi. Seconder, that's the top. Thank you.
Okay.
To reconvene?
Reconvene, is it proposal on second? Reconvene, thank you. So I think we're moving on to item 15. So I think that's hopefully presented by Darren, is that correct?
That's correct, Chair.
And then audit partnership, thank you.
Just to quickly remind members, I think it was mentioned just now from the Secretary that I'm referring to supplement document with the agenda for the Governance Committee, which is our proposal for the Internal Audit Plan 26-27. The reason this has been put in a supplement is to make sure that we did cover the areas that were mentioned earlier with regards to the local authority register provider, and to ensure that the audit plan was updated with the Renters' Right Act as well. Just a quick introduction. Internal audit is a statutory service under the Accounts and Audits England regulations, which require a relevant authority to undertake an effective internal audit to evaluate the effectiveness of its risk management, control and governance processes. In your case, the relevant authority is the Devon Assurance Partnership. We just missed the boat a little bit last year because from April 2025, internal auditing is now defined by the GIIS, the Global Internal Audit Standards, which actually replaced the previous public sector internal audit standards. These set out the requirement for a board and for senior management, and for the purposes of the internal audit activity here at North Devon, the council role of the board within the standards is taken by the council's governance committee, and the senior management as defined within the GIS is the council's senior leadership team. The governance committee, under the terms of reference contained in the council's consultation, is then required to consider the internal audit plan that's being presented today to provide assurance to support the wider governance framework, which is included within Appendix 2. And makes reference to the annual governance statement, which we're due to present with the head of that at the governance committee in June. The council's internal audit charter formally describes the purpose, authority and principal responsibilities of the council's internal audit services, which is provided by DAP and is represented by the internal audit framework in Appendix 1. And with regards to the GIS, the role of the chief audit executive is represented and fulfilled by the head of that. I'd also point out at this point there is a second item agenda following this with regards to our revision of that internal audit charter, and that's for members to consider at the next agenda item. The Chief Audit Executive is responsible for developing that risk-based plan, which considers the organisation's risk management framework, including the risk appetite set by management for the different activities or parts of the organisation, then as represented in Appendix 3. The need for robust and effective controls to ensure that resources are used to best effect and deliver the council's objectives have never been greater. National, and as we found out in the last couple of weeks, international factors, largely beyond the control of the council, including demand pressures and of course local government reorganisation, are now placed unprecedented pressures on the budget. And internal audit are here to help provide you with independent assurance that risks are known, understood, addressed, and that systems are sound, effective and efficient. What we're presenting today, the audit plan for 26-27, is a high-level plan which outlines the areas for coverage. This has been put together in collaboration with senior management, where we prioritised areas, issues, and areas for review as the year progresses. This is to ensure that we got focus of audit coverage is targeted according to the needs and priorities of the council at that time, and those that add most value. Just so you're aware, as far as our process is concerned, at the start of each audit, the scope is discussed and agreed with management with a view to providing management, the Director of Resources and the Deputy Chief Exec and members with assurance on the control framework to manage the risks identified, and delivery of the plan will continue to be reported, as members are aware, periodically throughout the year to the Governance Committee itself. Moving on then to page 2. I just want to talk about how we come together with regards to the high-level plan. The growing trend in the sector is to move towards more flexible audit plans, what they call agile and responsive plans, and the key benefits are noted then within the report. I think in the scenario we find ourselves with regards to LGR, Obviously, we're going to find out during this audit year what the decisions and what the way forward is with regards to that. Is that now is the time really to have that kind of agile audit plan in place. And while we propose to put together the plan for 26-27 today, I don't think there could be any reason at all that once we're more aware of what the impacts of LGR are, that we can come back and reiterate that plan in an agile way to meet those requirements. The high level plan is based on risk priority areas. The pie chart on page 2 puts out with regards to what those priority areas are. And as you can see, I'm pleased that we managed to negotiate and agree a good spread amongst those risk areas going forward. As I said, audit coverage for the year based on those priorities for review is then placed in the table following. And what we're asking the governance committee to do today to consider, first of all, the annual governance frameworks. Those are in Appendix 2 and supports the production of the annual governance statement. The basis of the assessment of the audit work in the proposed plan through looking specifically around previous coverage and corporate risk. The resources that have been allocated to meet the plan, and finally the proposed areas of internal audit coverage, which are now included in Appendix 6, with where relevant each area actually covered by its specific corporate risk as well. If it's okay, we'll move on to Appendix 6, which pulls together the draft internal audit plan. This has been approved by the SMT here at North Devon, and as you can see, it's broken down into the specific risk areas under the service heads. The audit area is there on the left, details of when it was last audited, if so, are in the middle with its assurance rating, and on the right hand side is the linked corporate risk. I would point out that if audits are in there and the last audited was a substantial assurance, then the agreement has been that we would do a light touch similar to what we would do for a follow-up for a limited assurance report, just to ensure that there aren't any material changes to that, and then to re-report on the previous audit findings that were put in place. This is mainly due to the fact that, as you can see, many of those are to do with the core financials, such as treasury management, which we do report on every year. And again, we feel that this is a better value and better use of internal resources going forward, and also helps mitigate the issues that were raised by the committee in January with regards to progress of the plan, which I'll be happy to report at, in the third item, which I'm presenting here today. So today, as I said, I'm asking for the committee to consider the framework requirements, the basis of the internal audit plan, the resources meeting, and the proposed areas for internal audit coverage.
Councillor Rossi.
Two things, if you forgive me. So on page 3, on the pie chart, it says other work. I'm assuming the other work is audit management.
That's the other work that we need to support the plan. It could include items such as the annual fraud assessment and the annual risk assessment as well. Both of those items will be coming up for reporting in June.
Okay, and then on page 16, under place, property and regeneration, you've got the museums, the theatres, parking operations, green lanes, the harbour authority, but you've negated the Pannier Market, which is obviously a big asset that we hold. I don't know if that was on purpose at all, but obviously I think that based on budget talks and setting on scrutiny and policy, I understand that there might be a small risk there. So
isn't that coming up in this year's? I have to double check.
So obviously this is the plan for 26-27. So there has been an audit on the Pannier Market. I think it was a year or two ago. So obviously it's not an audit that would take place every year. You're quite right. Obviously, scrutiny and policy set up a working group to look at the Pannier Market, to look at things like the budgetary and the events, etc. So obviously there'll be an outcome from that, which will look at then the business plan and the events that are taking place. So we wouldn't necessarily then look at having an audit carried out straight away on that. That's something that probably will be built in for a future year, maybe 27, 28. But because it's not one of the core annual audits, it's obviously not in for 26, 27. But we would look to probably bring that in for the year after.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Something I should actually mention is that what we have here is what's called an audit universe, and that pulls together to kind of respond to Mr. Triggs there, a 4-year audit universe, of which we're in the 3rd year at the moment. So there are still areas which we can consider. These are the highest risk areas. So there are areas that I refer to as we put in the mixing bowl, and they're ready for next year. And also outcomes for work this year as well could also feed into that as well.
And you mentioned the word agile a few times, so if there are issues, concerns, can be flexible.
Yeah, there's I think it's 250 audit days in total
Yes.
that built in. But every year there's always movement. So some audits will move from quarters depending on other things that may come up. Some audits may get brought forwards. And we have a contingency number of days within there as well. So if there's something new or a new risk appears during the year, then through conversations with Darren and the team, we can bring days forward to then put to those risk areas.
Yeah, I think independent member. Arnie?
I was keen to go last if everyone's asked their questions. Okay. So first of all, I have to apologise. I've waited a year for this meeting, having come to it last year, not as prepared and not really knowing what I should be asking. So I have a list. So starting with, the LGA said in their review, the audit plan did not link to the corporate priorities. I still can't identify that it does. Could you possibly confirm that?
The audit plan itself has been, as I said, was put together with collaboration with the senior officers here. So what we based it on, as I said, is on the 4-year cycle that we had, and then linked with regards to that additional corporate risk. If there was any requirement that was required on us to link it further with regards to the corporate plan, then that would have been discussed with senior management.
Okay. Second question, the audits that you did not do in 2025, are they still going to be carried out in 2025? As I noticed, most of them haven't been brought into 2026. Does that then mean they're not necessary, or have you obtained assurance from other places on those areas?
Sorry, can you give examples of those, please?
Yes. So under governance, you've got corporate governance and income generation and member engagement. Under place property, you've got property management. Under customer focus, you've got AI. Under planning, housing and health, you've got home efficiency schemes, planning, housing, health and safeguarding.
Oh, sorry,
so I'm looking. Go for it.
You're referring to the progress report, I think, aren't you?
No, so I looked, so yeah, the progress report for this year of the audits not yet started. I looked to see if they would then get, you know, if they'd then be moved into the 2026 plan, but they're not. So is the plan you'll still do them in 2025, or are they just disappearing?
Yeah, absolutely. So to be fair, we don't want to kind of jump the gun a little bit with regards to the internal plan progress report. Yes, it has been agreed that, and you're absolutely right, there are ones there that still need completion, and they will go into Q1 as carry forwards. But will be represented as part of that 25-26 delivery. So no, they're not going into 26-27.
But they're still going to be done.
The plan is they're going to be done, yeah.
Okay, and then going forwards with next year, will we still get the reports on those in the same basis then? So it'll be like identified that they're carry forward ones. So will they still come to audit committee as part of a tracker?
Absolutely, yes.
Brilliant, okay. And then you answered my substantial assurance questions. And then on the risk register, we discussed later, there are service disruptions from business continuity and failure to respond to major incidents. However, on your planning document, you haven't featured any audits that provide assurance around these areas. Could you possibly just run us through what the process was there? Sorry, I thought it was going to be Tony coming, so I was all geared up for Tony. I can email that one and you can think about it if you want.
You're breaking up just a little bit.
Oh, so, don't worry. Did you hear my question originally?
Naim, can I respond to that?
Yeah.
I think number one, I think we've considered it quite recently. And secondly, it did actually come up within the plan this year. But it's just as Mr. Triggs mentioned earlier, it could be stuff that we could put forward into next year. The issue of obviously what we've always had is that we only have infinite resources, and as Mr. Triggs pointed out, we've got the kind of 250 days. So I can assure you that business continuity was considered when we actually formulated the plan, but it hasn't been included in the 26-27 plan right now.
And the same with failure to respond to major incidents.
Yes.
Okay. Do you go on in a minute to talk about the charter, or have you done that already? Just I've got a question about that as well.
Charter's next.
Yeah, next.
Yeah, I'll wait for that then. Thank you.
I think Mr. Triggs wanted to feedback on the first point you had. Is that right?
Yeah, well, could you go back to your first question, Naomi?
The LGA said that the audit plan did not link to the corporate priorities. I can't identify it still does. Can you confirm?
Yeah, so effectively, yeah, we have linked to the corporate risk on page 16.
Yeah.
And again, in the corporate risk register, those risks are then linked back to the corporate priority. So between those documents, there is the path from the audit plan to the corporate risk back to the corporate priorities. I don't know if that helps.
That does help. You say page 16? I've got so many different page numbers on so many different things.
I think it's page 16 of the supplementary guidance.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
There's a second email. Says that.
Yeah, I've got that on my emails. I'll go through that in a minute. Don't worry. Thank you.
You sure? Okay. So that was item 15. Just a note. Any questions? Any more questions? No. Okay.
No, it's to propose, and obviously you're approving the audit plan.
Okay. So proposer, please. Councillor Walker, seconder. Councillor Hayward-Booth, all in favour? Thank you. Moving on to 6. The internal audit charter and strategy, pages 163 to 172.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And yes, we're moving back to the agenda pack as well on this one. So every year, Devon Assurance Partnership revises what's called the Internal Audit Charter. And again, this is making sure that we're adhering to the global internal audit standards that all public sector bodies and internal audit functions must demonstrate from the 1st of April 2025. In effect, it's to ensure that both parties are absolutely clear with regards to what the purpose of internal audit is, and specifically with regards to what our mandate is in terms of the specific authority that we would have, ensuring that we remain independent, ensuring that we have our position within the organisation, and those reporting arrangements are in place. The global internal audit standards, of course, quite literally, as they say, global. There are specific ones that apply here to the public sector. So normally within the public sector, you probably have what we would expect here. So we have a governance, a stroke audit committee, we have a chief audit executive, and the specific performance around that will be outlined within our annual assessment that's undertaken independently, which we're more than likely to report again on back on in June. And then going on from that, then how the chief audit executive then reports on to the audit committee, and that's with regards to my own side of it as well. So it's to do with my own attendance here, ensuring that we submit specific updates, papers are done, etc. Discussions are held regularly with the head of governance, etc. And from there, it will be the specific definitions of the chief audit executive, what their roles and responsibilities are, how they perform with regards to their own objectivity, and how they manage the actual internal audit function going forward as well. And finally, we talk about communication with the audit committee and with regards to senior management. and the expectations of that going forward. And that is then backed up by a quality assurance and improvement programme. And just so you're aware as well, I'm actually going to be using the charter myself, and again, following on from the comments that we had back in January, to put specific performance measures in place to help mitigate some of the items that were raised in January with regards to performance of the plan as well. And finally, it does outline what the scope and type of internal audit services are. Sometimes that can be a little blurred. Sometimes I think that we're consultants and we can help with specific decisions. No, we can't. We are specifically interested in risks. We have to maintain that independence and maintain that governance through the senior officers and through the governance committee as well. The last approval of the audit charter was in June 2025. You will see from it that that has already been pre-signed by our Chief Audit Executive, Tony Rose, the head of DAP. So what we're looking for today is for the approval of the Audit Committee of this latest charter so we can get this updated and put this in place ready for the new audit plan. Thank you.
Any questions? Are we compliant, independent member co-opted?
Are you talking to me? I was trying to find my microphone button. What was the question?
Do you believe we're compliant with the new standards?
Nope.
Right.
So can I ask, does anyone have any questions before I ask some questions?
No, I think we're looking to you.
Okay. Again, I've written these down, sorry. I notice in the audit charter and the audit plan and every document we've looked at, you reference conformance with the global standards. Could we clarify whether this refers to the global standards framework used internationally or specifically in the UK public sector? It might be helpful to ensure the charter is updated before we approve it to explicitly reference the public sector requirements to maintain clear alignment with the UK public sector. Noting that the ISAB application note, not the CIPRA application note, standard 7, details the internal audit teams must demonstrate conformance and detailed conformance with global standards in the UK public sector. I also note on page 185, you're still following the SIAS as well. So that was just one question. So, and I have raised this for over a year now with Tony and with Joe, I think it's Joe, that we're saying we conform with the global standards. When it comes to doing your EQA and your internal one, you will be assessed that you are conforming with the public sector version. So I don't know if you have anything on that as to why DAP have chosen not to conform with the UK public sector and to continue to conform with the international framework.
I can't give you an answer on that one, Naomi. Can we get back to you on that one, please?
Yeah. Okay. And then on page 166, I noticed the audit charter references the essential conditions. Since these aren't applicable standards for the UK public sector, should we consider aligning the charter explicitly with the CIPFA Code of Governance and application note to ensure full compliance with the UK requirements?
Again, Naomi, if you could forward that question on and I will get Tony to respond to that. This is important feedback for us, of course, because this charter is also being presented to our other district partners. So your feedback on that will be very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Page 169. I noticed the role of the head of audit doesn't specifically mention the annual reporting of the overall opinion that he provides for the annual governance statement, although I notice you have detailed it. This is a requirement of the application note. Could we clarify whether this is covered elsewhere or if there's an opportunity to make an update to the charter? Is this another one to email?
I would like to welcome your latter point there, Naomi, with regards to exploration of whether that should be included in the charter or not.
Yeah, that's part of the application note requirements. And I'm really sorry, this is my job. This is the only reason why ultimately I became an independent member. So I am giving you a hard time and I do apologise. My final question, page 170, I noticed the charter mentions the external assessor needs to have a CIA qualification. However, I note the application note says that's not necessary for the UK public sector. Should we consider clarifying this in the charter to reflect the public sector guidance?
Again, Naomi, if you could forward that on, and that's something that I will ask Tony to consider.
Brilliant, thank you. And then finally, this might be a question for Mr. Triggs. Is North Devon District Council happy to share the climate change audit once it's completed? Just because I think it could be quite interesting to read. That was all, sorry. It's at the end of my questions. It's nothing to do with the charter, right? Totally in the wrong place.
As in the full audit report when it comes out.
Yeah, I just thought it might be a really I'd just be interested to read it really, just from I haven't read an audit report for a long time and they're always quite interesting. But if you
just any, obviously we have a progress report and you get updates in terms of progress against those, and if there are any benefit assurance, you often get the full report. But members can have a copy of any of the internal audit reports at any time. So if members have a report on an area they would like to have a full detailed report, we can provide that to you. So quite rightly, yes, we can provide that one, Naomi, and also if any member wants any report on any other of the audits carried out, we can provide those in detail. I know Councillor Bush would ask for those.
We previously that's Mr. Tate, and he will send them out.
Yeah, if those requests come through to Adam and team, then we can forward those on to members.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
So we've got a number of comments that's quite rightly made by our voted member. Can we hold back on agreeing this committee, this charter until the next meeting?
Starting. Yeah, so I think, Chair, you've obviously there's a number of questions.
Yeah.
So obviously you could defer this item and it could come back to June. So the questions that Naomi has quite rightly asked can be forwarded through to Darren and the team.
Yeah.
They can respond to those. If there's any amendments needed, they can be incorporated within the document, and then an updated version could come back to your June meeting accordingly for approval. You happy with that, Naomi?
So now what we've
yes,
proposed,
thank you.
Thank you for raising those valid points. And I think they've been acknowledged by our Devon Audit Partnership colleagues. So I'm going to propose that we park this report and comes back to the next council meeting in June.
Yeah.
We need to note on that. Okay. So I'm proposing second Councillor Tops. So proposed and seconded by Councillor Rossi. All in favour? Right. Thank you, independent member. I was expecting some comments from you. Didn't know what they were going to be, but thank you. Restricts.
No, just to say, Chair, I think they're useful comments because as Sarah pointed out, this charter goes to all councils.
Yes.
See if there are things that we can learn from our independent member who works from this specialised area, then we can take that away and make sure it's embedded within documents and make sure that not only our versions updated, but it will also help the other councils in the area as well.
Lovely.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, we do.
Can I just add, by the way, if anyone wants to come back to me of the other councils, I'm always very happy to advise on these things as well.
That's great. Thank you very much.
If you want to share your hourly rates separately from this, that'd be great. Thank you.
Coffee.
No, I really do appreciate your comments. Thank you. So item 17, is that correct now? Internal audit progress report, pages 173 to 188. Over.
Thank you, Chair. Last one from me today. The standard internal audit progress report from activities from Q3 is included, as I said, from page 173 onwards. This forms part of what will be in effect the reporting for the annual governance statement. So we actually form our overall opinion with regards to the control framework, which will then follow on then in June. At the moment, as I said, we can't formally offer anything with regard to the a formal assurance rating, but certainly it looks as if it's going to be consistent with a reasonable assurance over the year, looking at some of the work that was carried out before. What I'll do, members, is I will skip straight away to the actual progress of the audits, mainly because, of course, this was raised last time in the January report with regards to progress of the plan. I said that we would ensure that more work was put in place We've actually included more resources in. I'm pleased to say we've got a new senior auditor who's actually started with us, who's helped out a lot as well. And I think with regards to the progress that's been made compared to January, there's actually other verbal reports I can give from this as well. So on the immediate left-hand side with regards to governance, we're just about to finish the report for VAT. And we're just about to finish the report as well for member grants. Now, when auditors submit those, they go through a peer review via myself and the senior auditor. So I can't offer you any indication of what the assurance ratings are at the moment, but certainly by the end of March, it's likely that those will be wound up. That's also going to be the case with waste management, climate change. And today, Mr. Tate received the first draft report for the performance management audit as well. You'll see on there also the 3 audits with regards to housing strategy, homelessness and housing needs. And what we would like to do is get these in and complete by the time we start looking at the audit for the local authority registered provider. When we included these on the plan, me and Mr. Tate sat down. As far as we're concerned, we think that these are part of the story really that's led to the LARP, so that we thought that was important to include the housing strategy and homelessness one in there at the moment, and we're just agreeing the scope for that one as well. Just as with regards to scope, we've also just agreed the scope for town centre management, which is actually going to be renamed as place management because it's wider than the town centres. Main accounting system, and one that's not on there as well as income generation. We've just agreed the terms of reference for that one as well. As was highlighted to the co-opted member earlier, yes, there is going to be audits that go through into Q1 for next year. But that, as far as I'm concerned, that's been budgeted with regards to the 26-27 delivery of the actual audit plan that was submitted earlier. With regards to new audit reports that have come out since, let's just have a look. So we managed to finalise the creditors, which we were very pleased with. In fact, that came out as a substantial assurance on a final report. Information governance has come out as reasonable, and also we're really pleased to say that housing benefits also came out substantial as well, considering again the high risk area that is. Hopefully by the time that we come back in June, we can report back on how the rest of the plan has progressed, in accordance also with giving the formal opinion as part of the annual governance statement. Happy to take any questions and comments.
Councillor Walker has, and I can both guess which audit that relates to.
Would it be possible to arrange a meeting with yourself regarding the crematorium audit in my putting my other hat on as chair of the crematorium committee?
Yeah. Yes, that's fine. Yes, so we can arrange, obviously, just to make clear that the audit there was looking at the agreement for the committee, in no way in reflection of the actual
it's the
committee
governance arrangements.
Yeah.
I know that the crematorium manager is very, very keen to make sure that everything is working properly within the area, because there's been some things that have been missed over a couple of years, and I think that this is probably one of them. So
as you see, that report is currently in the draft status, so it'll be finalised, and then obviously we will work with Dorridge as well as part of that joint committee.
Okay, so I was going to mention that perhaps engage with yourself to make sure these are taken forward at the next meeting.
That'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you both for coming. Any other comments? And following the last meeting, I did get an email from the head of internal audit reassuring me that you were progressing with the outstanding audits. And I think the main thing which I think we should quickly say is even if some audits are running behind, it's that reassurance we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if members get in the next meeting, you'll have the head of internal audit.
Yes.
And that is making sure that Devon Assurance Partnership have that total assurance on the whole picture of what's here. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the whole plan has to be completed. It's making sure that across the piece there is that assurance that can be given. And as has been demonstrated, the progress that's happened since the last meeting has been significant. The number of the audits now either having been done or are in progress. So every year there are always audits that fall into the next financial year just because of time. So I don't think we've ever had a year when the plan has been completely done by the time we get to the end of March. So it's a normal looking picture, Chair.
Thank you. Any comments? I'd like this to note, I'd imagine, isn't it? This one. Thank you.
Can I just say a side comment to that as well from the issues that were pointed out in January? I'd like to tell the committee that I was immensely proud of my team for pulling out the stops and delivering the new revised progress that we've got now. They've done really well. So.
Right, so moving on to Bishop Fleming external audit plan, pages 189 to 207. Over to Charlie. Martin. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everybody. Just to introduce myself, Charlie Martin. So I'm the key audit partner. So I'm responsible for the audit, the external audit overall of the council. So in the papers tonight, you have our external audit plan. So the purpose of this document really is one of a requirement to present it to yourselves, because it's a document which sets out the scope, the nature, the responsibilities of the upcoming external audit for the year ended or year ending 31 March 2026. This document effectively just summarises the planning work and the risk assessment work we've been doing, and just sets out really the areas of key focus for the upcoming year. When the audit is completed, we come back to this committee and we present 2 further reports. So those will come back to this committee in September. Really what the document here is being used tonight is just makes clear, I guess, what our key areas of focus. So it's looking at your key estimates, your key judgments. And I guess of notes, really, it's very much consistent with prior years, but the areas of focus are really the ones that are most complex. So the valuation of your property, your buildings, the pension valuations that go in, and also your use of journals. So that those are the ones that are most prevalent. John's picked up the point about the CIPFA guidance about the implementation of the indexation sort of guidance from CIPFA. And yeah, that's a new area this year. It is a change for this year in terms of how it will apply, but I guess the benefit of it will be in each year going forwards, it will make it less, don't want to say onerous, but it'll be less time consuming as it has been in the past, so that there is an intended benefit for it, but we just need to make sure we apply it correctly for this year as it goes forward. Also of note in the audit plan, just sets out our materiality, and we'll obviously revise that when we get receipt of the draft accounts in the summer. And then 2 final points I'd mention is the timetable. So one of the things we've made sure to do is we obviously have our annual debrief with John and Tony and the rest of the team, and make sure to build on the good partnership that we have with members and officers. But one thing we're keen to now do is be able to sign off the account, report back to yourselves at September's governance committee rather than November, which has traditionally been the case. I think we're at a point now where we're quite a well-oiled, I guess, audit process, as I could describe it. So we're confident to be able to bring it forward so it becomes much more normal, per se. I guess the only caveat I'd say is the only thing we can't control is there's a separate audit that happens over Devon County Pension Fund, and that's the bit we just wait for. So, but while we will be able to control what we can, and therefore the audit itself of the council is what we'll be able to report back on in September. Lastly, I just reflect on, we've put some sector updates in there, so just for members' benefit, really, just ongoing financial reporting updates. So we mentioned the indexation guidance, so that gives more flavour as to what's being changed and why. Equally for the annual governance statements, again, just reflecting on what the key requirements are. I think it's just trying to make sure it's themed as to what the pertinent points are. And then lastly, as ever, LGR, or local government reorganisation, there's obviously the ongoing proposals, and we'll find out in the summer what happens, particularly for Devon. I'll stop there. I obviously have to take any questions.
I mean, those of you here last year, I think sort of it was a good report last year, but Charlie's reassured me that if we do find any concerns, he will be in touch with us or me to raise those. I'm not expecting any. I think I might ask you if you
we have that process.
I'm not expecting any, but just sort of because it's gone so well. It's good. It's really good, and last 2 years, really, isn't it?
Yeah. We've had 2 years now, obviously, with Charlie and the team, so
Yeah.
we've built up those relationships, and we had a very good relationship with the previous external auditors as well, so we've continued that with Bishop Fleming. We're into year 3 now, and as Charlie's alluded to, the aim is to get the report to you in line with how it used to come. So previously, the accounts would be done by the end of May. You get the report then by the end of September. Obviously, through the pandemic, that then changed in terms of the timeline of when the accounts needed to be presented by. So that's why it's always come a little bit later the last couple of years to November. But the aim this year is to have the audit carried out in the summer, with the reports coming to you hopefully in September. That is still earlier than when they need to come, but obviously the earlier we can get them to yourselves, it's better than anything to get the sign off. That will always be caveated, as Charlie says, by the pensions audit. So the formal final opinion may come after that date, but the aim is to get the initial reports to you by September.
And some councils set themselves off their accounts, go out for years and leave them around the country.
There's still some that obviously have disclaimers for previous years. Yeah, obviously some that we're aiming to get them signed off by the end of February of this year, but fortunately we were way ahead of the game. And a lot of that is down to the relationship we built with our external.
Exactly. Yeah. Great, everyone. Any questions? No. Well, thank you for that reassurance, everyone. Thank you. We'll have dialogue sometime in the next few months. Right. Moving on to this register. 19 old work program. Sorry, yes. Page 207 to 210.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This sets out the plan committee items for the year 26-27, as you'll be used to seeing. And as you'll see at the June meeting, as we've discussed, we've got the draft annual governance statement and the draft statement of accounts coming along with the regular items, Chair.
Thank you. And I think what we have done in the past, if there is a quieter meeting or the needs, we will often bring an officer in to discuss the relevant risk that relates to their service area. Any comments on that?
Chair, assuming we're going to add I forgot what the document was called now, the document that we're going to vote on tonight.
Sure, we'll come on to the next meeting. Yeah, thank you. I say it's a flexible, things move, come on, come off during the year. If you could read a proposal, please. Councillor Rutsey, seconded Councillor Tops, all in favour. Thank you. Move on to item 20 now.
Yeah.
Register.
Yeah, and this is just to note the corporate risks from February 26 in part A of the agenda, Chair, and we'll have a full discussion in part B.
Thank you. So we tried, for those new members, we try to be transparent in part A, the public can see what our risks are, but we discuss the more detailed content in part B. So going to close down part A.
Just to note that report.
And to note, just to note the report. Also, secondary, move on to part B. And come up, as Rutsey, second to get to Pops. So I'm all in favour of moving forward to part B. Thank you.
Recording.
Yeah.